The world is filled with many dangers. Many of them can be seen or felt, but some of them can literally not be prepared for, mainly because they come in the form of disease or sickness. What's worse, ones like viruses that cause deadly diseases can't be easily fought because they are by their very nature things that evolved to get around such things. Given enough time, of course, in our world today there are viruses that can truly harm people on a grand scale. So, allow us to show you the scariest viruses in the world. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 7. The coronavirus. Sadly, we must start this list with the virus that is well and truly causing the most pain and suffering in the world right now. Coronavirus, aka COVID-19. It's called that because it's literally the 19th strain of this virus, and it's one that has rocked the world for almost a year now. When it started, it was rooted solely in China, which made the world at large think that everything was going to be fine because it was just there. But the opposite was true. The virus soon got out of China and through people who felt they weren't infected, brought it to other countries. Within the course of about 6 months, the virus had become worldwide. By March and April 2020, whole nations were locking things down and shutting down public meeting areas so that they could try and limit the spread of the virus. But some, like the United States, were so ill-prepared that the virus hit them like a hammer, and even to this day, the people are not safe from this virus. What's arguably worst of all, the virus starts out as a cold-like symptom that eventually attacks your body in a major way so that it could shut down and die. The death toll for the virus continues to grow, and that makes it all the more scary as the winter season will likely make things much worse. So thus, be smart out there. Don't expose yourself or others to anything that can transmute the virus, and stay inside when possible. The quicker that people take the right precautions, quicker this virus will be phased out. Number 6. Marburg Virus. Scientists identified Marburg virus in 1967 when small outbreaks occurred among lab workers in Germany who were exposed to infected monkeys imported from Uganda. Marburg virus is a very dangerous virus that can be likened to Ebola, and that both can cause hemorrhagic fever, meaning that infected people develop high fevers and bleeding throughout the body that can lead to shock, organ failure, and death. The mortality rate in the first outbreak was 25%, but it was more than 80% in the 1998 to 2000 outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well in the 2005 outbreak in Angola, according to the World Health Organization, WHO. So needless to say, people do not want this virus to hit their region because it can decimate the unprepared. Number 5. Ebola Virus. Easily one of the most famous and deadly viruses out there, Ebola is known for being easy to transmit, very dangerous within the body, and more. It's one that has caused pandemics on various scales over the years. The first known Ebola outbreak in humans struck simultaneously in the Republic of Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976. Ebola is spread through contact with blood or other body fluids or tissue from infected people or animals. The known strains vary dramatically in their deadliness, which in many ways makes this an even scarier virus. Because if you don't know how potent or lethal it can be, how can you prepare for that? Number 4. Rabies Virus. Rabies is honestly a virus that most people know about because of where it comes from most times, animals. Whether it be wild dogs or cats or rats or raccoons, rabies is a problem, and one that many nations still deal with to this day. True, in the United States and certain other nations, we have a vaccine for them. Not every nation in the world can afford that or get them in good numbers. The result of getting infected by it is not good. It destroys the brain. It's a really, really bad disease, said one expert. We have a vaccine against rabies, and we have antibodies that work against rabies. So if someone gets bitten by a rabid animal, we can treat this person, she said. However, they added, if you don't get treatment, there is a 100% possibility you will die. Number 3. HIV. HIV/AIDS is another very well-known virus and one that literally took over the world in the worst way possible and infected both the common man and celebrities equally and without mercy. Magic Johnson was one who got lucky and survived it, but Freddie Mercury, not so much. In the modern world, HIV looms large and takes many lives. It is still the one that is the biggest killer, said Dr. Amash Adajah, an infectious disease physician and spokesman for the Infectious Disease Society of America. An estimated 32 million people have died from HIV since the disease was first recognized in the early 1980s. Infectious disease that takes the biggest toll on mankind right now is HIV, Adajah said. Plus, while you can get tested for it, you can't be cured for it. Not yet. There's a lot of research into trying to fix that, but it's slow going. Number 2, smallpox. One of the most infamous killers of all time. The world as a whole doesn't have to worry about smallpox now. But once upon a time, it was devastating, to the extent that 1 out of every 3 people who got it died. But that's not the end. Rather, those who lived after getting the deadly virus found themselves much less capable, including many being blinded by it. Plus, those who weren't exposed to any kind of virus like this before were truly decimated. Historians estimate 90% of the native populations of the Americas died from smallpox introduced by European explorers. In the 20th century alone, smallpox killed 300 million people. It was something that had a huge burden on the planet, not just death, but also blindness, and that's what spurred the campaign to eradicate from the earth, Adajah said. Now again, thanks to vaccines and distribution, by 1980, smallpox was gone from the world. But if it somehow came back, it would be an ugly time in the world. That's truly scary to think about. Number 1, influenza. You might think that the common cold isn't something to fear, but what we sometimes nonchalantly call the flu is something that can evolve and be deadly all over the world. Every flu season, about 500,000 people die from a strain of it. The most deadly flu pandemic, sometimes called the Spanish flu, began in 1918 and sickened up to 40% of the world's population, killing an estimated 50 million people. So yeah, while the flu is something you can treat and easily be cured of, sometimes it's not that easy. And there you go, a look at various viruses of the world that are dangerous in all ways that matter and terrifying to think about. Which of these viruses send chills down your spine? Which ones do you hope you never get infected by? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you next time on the channel.